connecting with you. So welcome here to the Matt, Noel, and to the people are connected through different platforms. So welcome everyone, and also to the latecomers, and even to the people who will be watching the replay. It's okay, you can catch up at any time. Yeah. So what we want to show you today is actually how you can reconnect with your partner, how you can break the cycle of negativity that so many people say that they're stuck in this repetitive ongoing cycle of negativity, where sometimes one feels like the victim, then the other one feels like the perpetrator, and then there's only one rescuer. Otherwise, you won't be here. And that's how the negative cycle keeps going. And it can keep going for years, to be honest with you. It's only when people start butting heads and constant arguments that actually the relationship is pretty leveraged. And that's when people tend to reach out as well.
Yeah, can I comment on the slide? Yeah, thank you for taking over that. Apologies for the delay in the issue in the slides there. Just to go on to the next point, one of the most common things that people say when they reach out is that it's confusing. Like, why is it that we're trying so hard and just not getting anywhere? You know, why can't we just talk about stuff? Why are things not just easier? And I just want to share that from the outset, just to reassure you, if you're experiencing that you're not alone. You're not alone. And by the end of tonight, you're going to understand why it's confusing at the beginning, why you start in this place of confusion, and how we can get out of that. Because it's not terminal. You can get out of confusion and into what we call clarity. And clarity is where things are easier than you ever imagined. They're easier than you ever imagined. But it's not just like clicking your fingers. It'd be nice if it was, right? But we need to get a deeper understanding. You can't, it requires us like really understanding things at a deeper level to have an experience of clarity rather than the confusion that you may have initially. So just wanted to set that as a context. That makes sense. You want to comment? I was just going to just check the slides are working. Can you just comment quickly a second?
Yeah, so as Matt said, some people are confused.com. They don't know really how to break the cycle of activity. Some people have a theory. They say, Matt and Rebecca, we already know where our problems are coming from, but we don't know how to break the cycle. And some other people say, we don't really know what's going on, but we just keep doing what we're doing and it's not working. Some other people say, actually, I'm actually repeating my parents' relationships and I'm not really proud of that. And I don't want to hand over, all that to my children, because otherwise, that's correct. Our children will be the future generational warriors that will have to break the cycle of negativity on our behalf. So that's actually a very nice gift that some people like to give to their children, to work on their relationship, because the children are not in this planet yet. They want to have children and they don't want to give them the same generational patterns. And some people have children and they have witnessed how their children have already started to absorb and model the relationship dynamic, the self-esteem. There's bullying at school and they're not defending themselves. They're not standing up for themselves, or maybe they have become the bullies as well at work. It's just very sad because it is possible to break the cycle, but we need to start doing something different that clearly we have not done before. Otherwise, people will not come to us.
Thank you. Great point. So moving on to the next slide, just a quick word. We don't want to bore you and tell you like talk about ourselves the whole time. So that's probably not that interesting, but just to let you know who we are. We work together, as Rebecca said, we've been going since 2018 in this format. We're doing similar related work beforehand, but working together in this way. And things you might know about us. So I've got a book, we've got an amazing podcast, we've got a scorecard on the website so you can test your relationship. We've got tons and tons of reviews. That's like one of the things that many people find us through. A lot of people say, well, oh, it's quite personal. I'm sure people don't really write your reviews. Actually, a lot of people do. So yeah, you can read people's experience. That's Do you want to
Yes,
explain that?
yes, I love what Matt said. Yeah, at the beginning, when people come to us, they come with a lot of shame. You know, there's a stigma on relationships not working. But by the end of it, because they're doing so well, because they're so grateful, because they're at the end of the tunnel, on the other side, now they can actually connect emotionally with the results of the reviews that they read at the beginning, which is what makes them trust that there is hope. Because people want hope. And people buy certainty because that's what they don't want, they don't have. And so people at the end, they give us amazing testimonies because they're so grateful because actually they made it when at the beginning they don't even believe it's possible. So that's why we want to share with you who we are, because who are we? Why are you listening to us? Why would you follow our advice? Well, we have been in the GB News, national television in the UK. We've been in the BBC with, these people that you may have seen before, like Gordon Smith, Nikki Campbell, Sarah Walker, and different people. And people really trust our 5-star Google reviews. Because what happens in the UK is that, there's this traditional talking therapy, but most clients come to us after having done counseling, talking therapy. And sometimes we just get very good at knowing and understanding cognitively what is happening, but we don't really break the cycle. Why? Because we haven't embodied the qualities and the tools that we need to express for us to be able to effectively break the cycle of negativity. We don't know how to make each other feel heard. We don't know how to make each other feel appreciated, and most importantly, seen. We feel attacked, we feel accused, we get defensive, we get dismissive, and nothing gets resolved. And that's how people come to us in that situation. You do, Matt?
Thank you. I'm just correcting a little error. That's right.
We react the whole time instead of being proactive and doing something different.
So we put this slide together just to tell us like how are people doing in their relationships at the moment, and you can just have a scan down these stats, and it's not really encouraging reading. A lot of people struggling in their relationships, lots of marriages ending in divorce, even marriage rates declining, but also there's a real statistic behind a statistic here, because how many people stay together, but stay together not really that happy? They just say to themselves, well, this is just how things are. Everyone argues, everyone has these problems, and we're not different from the majority. In a sense, it's right, because so many people do have these issues, but it doesn't have to be this way. So it's just worth. Let me see if I can rearrange the screen a little bit.
That's right. Matt said that people actually accept that this is how it's gonna be for the rest of my life. My relationship is just gonna be like that. I'm not the only one. My neighbors, my sister, my brother, my friends, they are all having relationship issues. So we're not different. And with this mindset, they conform, they resign, they accept and surrender to what it is, but with no action taking at all. So basically, what we end up doing is to settle for the crumbs. We settle for less than what we know that we deserve. And how sad is this? When we are, what you doing, man?
I'm just checking it's working on YouTube.
It's gonna kick off here, eh? Live. No,
I'm just checking because we're streaming on YouTube. I was just checking it was working, and it is, so it's fine.
Do you know what? When we are young, we sometimes we look at our parents' marriage and we say to ourselves, "I'm not gonna do this when when I'm adult and I am an adult and I'm in a relationship, or I won't do this to my children, what my father or my mother is doing." But then what happens is that we forget, we grow up, we move on. And one day we realized, we wake up to the realization that we have become our father, we have become our mother, or that we have attracted a partner like our father or like our mother. And maybe we also realize at some point that the way we were treated, it's exactly how we are treating ourselves now. And if we are not choosing ourselves, what makes us believe that our partners would choose us?
Thank you. So just move on to the next slide. So the question I'd like to ask here, and feel free to, I'd love to hear in the chat if you've got any other ideas here. This slide is asking, when we're having a problem in our relationships, what do we do? What kind of strategies do we employ to try to turn things around? So there's some examples here. We might say, oh, let's go on holiday. That's this slide. We're stressed. We're busy with work. Let's just go on holiday, and we're going to get on better. But then we get on holiday, and what happens? Is it really as magic as we want it to be, or could it be a bit awkward or a bit difficult? So this is something people try and do. So maybe we have our magic moments for Instagram like this. We put on a smile, put on a brave face, and it all looks great, amazing. But then later on, we have a meltdown at the restaurant, or we have this tension. And that doesn't find its way onto Instagram, interestingly, normally. But what it still creates an impact. So this can be an idea. Other people say, well, let's get a pet. If we bond over a pet, we're not going to be arguing anymore. We're just dealing with the little dog there. Maybe we think, well, let's start a family. Once we've got that common goal of, raising the children together, we're going to be getting on. We're not going to have time for this bickering and nonsense that we're doing. So, we pin our hope on the child as a way of, maybe helping the relationship. We're going to get on better with the kids there as well. Or we get married to say, oh, I think this is a commitment issue. If only we could get married, then everything will be okay. We throw ourselves into work. That's this slide here. Yeah, so the work situation is like, well, if we just, if I spend more time in the office, then it won't be quite as awkward at home. I don't need to walk on eggshells as much at home. Or maybe we hit the bar. That's the final picture there. We, maybe think that our solution lies at the bottom of a bottle of wine. And that could be another way that we try to deal with things. But can you see that these are all really quite superficial? They're coping mechanisms, really. They're a bit like the wallpaper over the crack. And it might work for a while to some extent, but whether it gives us really a long-term fix is another matter. It's another matter.
Yeah, I agree with Matt. People come to us telling us the amazing holidays that they have had in the past. Can I see the previous slides, Matt? Thank you. People come to us and they tell us the amazing holidays that they've had, and at the end of them, they ended up having another row. So expensive holidays, patch-up job, wallpaper, ending up in another row. We get a pet, a lovely dog, a lovely cat, because you know what? The love that we don't feel from our partners is the love that we expect to feel from the dog. The love that we don't give to our partner is the love that we actually want to give to our children. And basically, the business, the children, the holidays, everything becomes a cover up, a patch up, a mask to avoid the issue that lies underneath the house, broken rundown house, and we don't see it. The expensive holidays. Some people spend £50,000 in the one single day holidays. Amazing wedding day, amazing wedding, great again. Another distraction, one more distraction. And then it becomes hard to face the relationship not working because maybe we are still paying for that wedding day. And it's like cognitive dissonance. If I realize that and accept that my relationship is not working, then this investment, this cost, this expenditure in the relationship, in the wedding day, it becomes quite painful. And a business is another distraction. If I create a business to be a good provider for my family, for my children, or to avoid spending time together as well. Sometimes our partners don't want so much, such a lifestyle, such a you know, such a big house. Our children didn't even ask to go to a private school, but we just get distracted with all this. And it's just another form of avoidance, just like alcohol or porn addiction, another one, because we just want to mask, to numb the pain. But it doesn't resolve the fundamental issue.
Exactly. Thank you. So just to reiterate really what Rebecca's saying, what these things end up doing is really being like the patch up. So can you see the crack in the wall? There's an issue with the building, but actually we're not really dealing with it. We're just patching it up. And this is where it can become quite repetitive. If ever it becomes cyclical, really, we know that we're doing a patch up. So again, the reason it's cyclical is because the things that we're doing are not addressing the underlying problem. They're just creating a short-term cosmetic level fix. That's like the holiday or the date night. It's another great example. Whereas what we have is a deeper issue we need to resolve. But not everyone wants to see it that way. Yeah, it can be quite uncomfortable to think, oh, my relationship has got a deeper issue than just, you know, not spending enough time together. Yeah, that's an easy one to fix. But if there's something deeper, that requires more work. And not everyone is looking for that kind of solution.
Yeah.
So that's really worth remembering. Do you want to comment on that? So now we want to jump into 5 problems with most relationship therapy and just help you understand like why sometimes it might not work as well as you think it may or you want it to work. The first issue we'd like to touch on is that a lot of therapy tends to be quite time focused rather than results focused. So you're paying for the time, you get some time with an expert and you just assume you're going to learn something from that and it's going to help. But because it's not focused on a transformation and a result, it can again become quite repetitive. Like the dynamic isn't quite right when the therapist is thinking about it from a time perspective, like how long are you going to keep coming back for, rather than solving a problem. So you probably understand by the way I described that, that's a bit different to how we work, because we work in a way that's much more results focused. We literally guarantee results, which is not really common in therapy in general. But it does require a time commitment, but we're not focused on the time. So that's just an important aspect about how we work compared to how most therapy can be. It's common.
I love it.
Yeah. So we're going to move through these fairly quickly. We're going to pick up questions as well at the end. Just stick with us on this. So the next thing is coming back to our crack analogy. A lot of therapy can be really talking about the cracks. What issues did you have this week? How did it affect you? How did it impact on the relationship? And again, the challenge here is that you don't actually resolve the problem at the level of the crack. It can be actually quite frustrating because you could talk about the crack all day long and still not really be any closer to resolving it. So it can be frustrating. And that's where, particularly therapy, where it's an hour a week, it can be quite repetitive in that respect. You don't really get anywhere, potentially. So again, we work in a much more intensive way, more like the building work, really to get to the bottom of things.
Yes, I agree with Matt. So people go to the session, and before you know, it's a waste of time. It's a total waste of time because the money's gone, the time is gone, and you feel even worse because you keep talking about how I keep talking to my partner and feeling that I'm talking to a brick wall. How my partner withdrawn. I get frustrated. I want to resolve the problem now. My partner needs time and space, or vice versa, or I just want to resolve the issues and we come up with solutions, but actually my partner doesn't follow through. Or I can't trust my partner, or my partner is controlling me all the time, everything I do, tracking my passwords, my phone, where I go, how I dress. and my partner has cheated again, or my partner has a parallel life. It's a classic as well. And so we just keep talking about the symptoms, but we don't resolve anything. We just make ourselves feel worse because we focus on the pain, so we gain more pain.
Certainly, thank you. So moving on to the next one, we've also got that sometimes when you're working with a therapist, it can feel a bit unbalanced because the issues for men and women are quite different, and quite often things don't land as well from like a woman to a man or a man to a woman. It can just create this resistance. So because we're a couple, we address this quite directly and quite differently compared to most therapies. So we do sessions, typically me with the guy, Rebecca with the woman, and we maintain that through the journey. There's an element of that's really important, which makes more sense as we go through. We also do events as well, women together, men together. They work really well too. So just to give you an insight into what we do and how it works.
And also, if you're watching this, just so you know, we also work with couples of the same sex couples, and we know how to work with which one of the partners as well, because this is not gender dependent, but essence dependent, which is something that we explain in the program as well.
Great point, thank you. So the next point on here is that a lot of relationship therapy and therapy generally can be very cognitive rather than going deeper into the emotional side. That's really important distinction.
Yes, I absolutely love this point, Matt, because, as I said, we can become very good at diagnosing our partner's issues, our own issues. Some people come to us and they're super experts in attachment styles. However, they still have their own issues. So how does that help? And honestly, as well, personally, I've done therapy for many years, and I wish I knew what I know now, which it's fast-tracked my results, individual results. And so it's not the same cognitive understanding than somatic embodiment breakthrough. Is not the same. A cognitive breakthrough, knowing, realizing, understanding something, than actually feeling and embodying in your body in the qualities that you need to express effectively, so you can maximize the chances of influencing your partner, so they also shift.
Great point. Excellent. So one more point to go here. So yeah, another really important aspect that we cover that a lot of therapists don't like to really talk about. Some do, but it can be a bit difficult for some people to really go there, is the masculine and feminine dynamics. So important here. The relationship is a bit like a dance between two people. And if you don't understand the different roles of the dance, it becomes really hard to dance effectively. And again, as Rebecca said earlier, it's not gender dependent. We can dance in any role we want. But what we find is that if you get confusion here, then it becomes really, really difficult to have a healthy relationship. So this is something we really focus in on during the work to really help you make sense of it and navigate it skillfully. Amazing. So that's just a sense of how a lot of relationship therapy can be and how we're a bit different to that. So this is really how it works. So just to give you a sense of how we work, we always have an initial meeting to get to meet potential clients so we can find out if it's a good fit. Sometimes it is, sometimes it isn't. You've got to apply to join the program. You can't just join. That's really important. Then we have an initial meeting, which is normally me with a guy, Rebecca with a woman, but again, we work with same-sex couples as well. But then we work with this intensive bit of work, which is around 16 hours, ideally in a row. So it's a commitment. It's not a 5-minute job. It takes time and effort, commitment. And then we have 6 months to really work on it and put things into place, put things into practice, where we have these online sessions every month. And also you can book in private sessions too. And those ones are pay as you go. And then we get together at the end of the 6 months, which is the point 8, to check in, make sure you've got where you wanted to be, make sure that you've got the result that you want. And also, it's really important that we're here to empower you, or empower all of our clients to really make the relationship work. It's not about becoming dependent on Matt and Rebecca. That wouldn't be really success. So that's really important too. And we have different options, different packages you can choose from, which we can talk through, and you'll see in the brochure. So this is really, if it's something that you feel you resonate with and you want to explore further, again, you can't commit to the program straight away. The only thing you can do is to apply through this link, and then you can basically see when we're free. We can talk through with you. We're currently offering these appointments here in London, where we're based, but you can also do it over Zoom. So anywhere in the world, we have people all over the place. Yeah, so that's the code that you need to click. It'll show you our availability. By the way, we're very busy. I don't think we've got any availability this week. We've got some availability next week. Yeah, I would just say, if you're looking to book in, don't delay. Just see when we're free, and yeah, it'll give you a good chance to get some feedback from us. We can gauge where you're at, and if it is a good fit for us to work together, we'll explain what the next steps are, and if it's not, that's fine too. So yeah, that's really the final slide. So but we always like to leave a space here for any questions. Sometimes you might just have questions you want to raise. You can either raise your hand or you can type in the chat. We'd love to hear any questions or comments or feedback. I know we've gone quite quickly here. So yeah, any questions at all that you'd like to ask us? Any comments or questions? I'm just going to check on YouTube as well. We might have some comments over there. Okay, so a few likes, but no comments so far. Good. Amazing. Well, anything else before we wrap up?
No.
Excellent. So that was really what we wanted to cover today, to give you a sense of where we come in, how we can help, if this is the kind of solution that you're looking for. We trust this has been valuable, giving you some insight, some understanding about where help can come into play, whether it's from us or anyone else, and also a sense of what to do next. If you are looking to explore and take this further. I can see a few bookings coming in already, so thank you for those for next week. For those people, we'll really look forward to speaking to you. And yeah, if it's something you're interested in or you have questions about, please let us know. We're here to support and we're here to serve you. If it's something that you want to explore further. So with that, we wrap up. We've got no comments or questions so far. So thank you for joining again. Well done. Had a great turnout. So well done to everyone for showing up and making this important enough, to commit the time to be here. We really honor your time, and we trust this has been of value to you, getting an understanding of where you're at and what the future could hold if you're ready to put the work in.
Thank you.
Well done,
See you
everyone.
soon.
Yeah,
Bye.
we'll be in touch. Bye.